this is Glory Marie. Thank you for tuning into my channel today. Today I have it on my heart to share my testimony with others. So this testimony specifically is from Celebrate Recovery, and Celebrate Recovery is a 12-step Christ-centered program that I've been a part of since April 4th of 2019. So I've already received my 2-year chip. I completed a step study, and it was just really the most amazing experience that I've ever had when it comes to healing. So my testimony stems from that. I don't really want to read verbatim my testimony, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that because it really covers a lot, and I really feel that once I get this out there, I'll be able to make more videos with specific topics, such as how I got through depression, anxiety, bipolar, suicidal thoughts, and different things that were a part of my past, and how I've been changed and what strategies I used and how I was able to cling to God during the difficult times in my life and truly be changed from the inside out. So I am going to go ahead and read. I'll just go ahead and, just kind of shorten things up a little bit, but it is, pretty long testimony. But hey, we are more than overcomers because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of our testimony. So by me sharing the testimony, it's just a way of me sharing my heart and building my channel with this being the foundation. So in the past, I've struggled with grief, regret, a lot of loneliness, depression, codependency, mixed emotions, and I'm facing a divorce. So before I gave my life to Christ again, which was April 4th, 2019, I was a very lukewarm Christian. Okay, so God was there in my life and I knew who he was, but I was not submitting to him. I wasn't walking daily with him. I just basically thought, okay, once saved, always saved. And I did not take time for God. And I just was very lukewarm, which is a dangerous place to be. I had very deep emotional hurts. I was a very controlling woman. I felt that I was never good enough, for anybody. And I felt that I wasn't good enough in the way I looked, in my marriage, as a wife, as a mother. I mean, I really struggled very, very much with poor, low self-esteem. I did rebel to all authority in my life. I really did. And I treated everyone that I loved very, very poorly, because I didn't love myself. So I could not give love to anybody. And I was carrying very, very deep emotional wounds with me that were not healed, and hurting people hurt people. So I was just lashing out at everybody. I mean, I used my husband as a scapegoat. I would hurt him. I'd hurt my mother with my words. And this was like something that consistently happened. And a lot of people would say, well, it's part of your bipolar. Well, it could have been, but really was because the enemy had a grip on me, because I wasn't submitting myself to God and I wasn't putting on the full armor of God every single day. So basically I felt entitled. The depression that I experienced many times made me basically not be able to function. I didn't enjoy anything in life, even though I had everything going for me. I had a beautiful home. I had a wonderful husband. I had a daughter who loved me. I had an adorable puppy. I had a career as a nurse. I had, everything going for me. And even with all of that, there was still a huge hole in my heart. I was not healed at all. I didn't think it was important to go to therapy. I didn't think it was important to fellowship with women. I didn't think it was important to, really plug myself into the body of Christ, because I felt like nobody can understand my pain. Nobody can understand what I'm dealing with. So that was another tactic the enemy used in my life to kind of just deflect everybody and just say, this is something that I'm going through that nobody can, I'll only get through it when I get through it. And that was not good. I grew up in a very loving home, even though my biological dad and my mother divorced when I was about a year old. I didn't see that happen, but that was a generational curse that was there in my bloodline, and I'm going to get to that. My biological father, had a double life. So he wasn't just like, he didn't just have an affair or anything like that. He literally had a double life with another woman while she was pregnant with me. So even from the womb, I experienced abandonment. I experienced rejection, and those were deep-seated roots of hurt in my life. I was not allowed to meet my biological father because once my mother remarried my stepfather was very overprotective of me, and he said, no, this is my daughter. I'm not going to let you raise her. So I didn't know that until I was about 4 years old. I realized I have two dads. And the way that I was told that at a young age was basically, your real dad didn't want you, and that's why you can't see him. So I experienced a ton of rejection in that aspect of my life at a young age, and a lot of confusion. I felt unworthy. I would see my biological father fighting with my stepfather because he did want to see me, but my stepfather was adamant. He said, no, this is my daughter. So they would fight, they would push. And I was just like, I don't understand. It was a very confusing, painful time for me in that part of my life, But other than that, I did have a very happy childhood. I had great grandparents. My grandmother just passed away a few weeks ago on the 23rd of September. God bless her soul. She was amazing. And I had great role models in my grandparents. My mother was a great person. And my stepfather was a great person as well, but he was very, very strict. So he would, if I didn't perform perfectly, and if I didn't get perfect grades and do everything the exact way that he wanted to, he would hit me. But he would hit me like really bad. Like I would like bleed, and I would have like the marks and stuff on me. And that's just traumatizing. I mean, I'm all for discipline, but the way that he disciplined me was really hurtful. Despite that, I still loved him because I knew that he loved me. And I was very, very close to my stepfather. I knew that when he hit me, it was just his way of me, him wanting to make me the best I could be. So I had a lot of low self-esteem issues. My brother used to bully me, calling me a fat pig. And I had a lot of weight issues off and on in my life. And so I grew up Catholic, and we used to go to Catholic church. I went to a Catholic high school, and I never felt right. I never felt right in the Catholic religion because I didn't understand why my mother and my grandmother and my grandparents would say these special prayers to special saints and everything. I didn't get that. I didn't feel close to God in the Catholic Church because I would always think, even at a young age, like, why are you praying to the saints when God is above them? And I, even though I didn't know what idolizing anything meant, I knew that was not right. Like, it just was already embedded in my heart that that wasn't something that I was going to grow up doing. So I became a Christian when I was 13 at a bonfire. A friend introduced me to Jesus, and she said, you don't need religion, you need relationship. So yes, I did believe in Jesus. I did know who he was. I did know the word, but at 13 and a half, my stepfather, whom I love very much, the strict one, he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. So, he deteriorated in front of my eyes. It was very, very painful to see him go from like a 300-pound jolly man to like 60 pounds right in front of my eyes. And I'm sorry, I love that man. I really, really loved him, and it was very painful to see that. Before he passed, I gave him a Bible, and I told him, hey, I don't know what you believe, but Jesus is real. And if you read this and you give your heart to him, when you die, you'll go to heaven. So for a while, I didn't know what to believe. Like when he passed away, I didn't know if he was saved or not. And he came to me in a dream. And it was a very, very, very vivid dream. It was beautiful. And he was dancing and he was rejoicing. And he told me, Annelle, I know that you see me in pain, because that's what he called me. I know that you see me in pain and you see me like this, but I'm not. And he went from shriveled and crutches like that in pain to throwing off the crutches, and just he turned and just was just full of life. And it was just amazing to see that in a vision. He was saying, I'm in the best place ever. I'm so happy. I'm full of joy. I can't ask for anything better. I can't wait till you're here with me. And that was my confirmation from the Lord that he was in heaven. So that was an amazing experience, But what happened was, when I lost him at 13 and a half, let me tell you, I didn't know how to cope. And a lot of people, when they're in pain and, they're experiencing something hard, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol. I turned to men. I turned to needing attention from men. I turned to getting my identity from a man, because I didn't have one. I didn't have my real father, and my stepfather had just gone. So that was my drug of choice. It became my drug of choice, and the pain of losing him was way too much. So I was desperate for validation and distraction from the pain. I used to sneak out of the house till all hours of the night. My mom didn't know because she was grieving for my stepfather. Just in her room crying, sad, and I would just jump out the window and go with different guys and different friends and, party and drink and everything. But it wasn't that bad. The addiction that I had was to men, passion, attention, closeness, being told that I was beautiful, that I was desirable, that I was wanted. Like, I needed to hear that. So I put myself in really, really bad situations. I'm just being vulnerable. I'm just being vulnerable right now and saying everything. I always felt I needed a guy in my life. If I didn't have a guy in my life, I wasn't happy. Okay. And so there's a dopamine high that happens when you first meet someone and you're like, wow, oh my God, they're beautiful. They're so attractive. Oh, they make me feel so good. There's a part of your brain that's activated that releases dopamine. And that's what I was addicted to. So I actually wouldn't go from boyfriend to boyfriend to boyfriend like all the time. I would stay with somebody for a while, but I could never be alone. And I needed that rush, that drug, that dopamine rush, and it was because I had no self-worth and no confidence, and my perception of love, it was completely distorted, completely tainted. I basically just felt rejected, abandoned, so I always ended up ending every relationship first, because I was always afraid that I was going to get rejected and that they were going to leave me. So I would hurt. And that's just an unfortunate thing that I would do. And at 17, I had a boyfriend that I met that was an absolute horrible man. He was horrible. And I knew it. I knew he wasn't a good guy, but it was that bad boy thing, that bad boy image. And I'm sure other people would understand this. But he ended up hitting me in the eye. I ended up with 72 stitches. He almost killed me. He put a gun to my head. It was a horrible experience. So that was very traumatic. And that happened when I was 17. And, I ended up getting pregnant and I had to get an abortion. In my mind, trust me, there's been a lot of healing that's had to be done because of that decision. But I had to do it because this man went to jail and he was going to get out, and I would have had to be a part of his life forever. And I didn't know any better, and God has forgiven me. He's cleansed me from that already. So if there's any women out here who are feeling any type of guilt because of an abortion, please, please, please know, of course it's horrible. Of course it's murder, but God will forgive you. God will forgive you. if you turn to him. He did to me. So it took a lot of work, but definitely I would say I developed a victim mentality after this had happened. And, like I said, I felt nobody can understand my pain. I'm a very empath and a very sensitive person. And I'm actually an HSP, a highly sensitive person. So for me, when I experience any emotion, whether it's sadness, I experience it on a different spectrum than others. Happiness on a different spectrum. It has its good and its bad. I mean, I give with all my heart. But you can go ahead and look up what an HSP is. I've done a lot of research on that. It's really interesting because it really helped me to understand why I am typically more sensitive than other people. Okay, so like I said, I treated everybody poorly. My mom poorly, my brother, my friends. I used to think that God couldn't even fix me. But when I turned 18, I went through something very hard again. I started having horrible insomnia. I mean, I couldn't sleep for 8 days, not even 1 hour. So I was put on medication. And I was dependent on that medication to sleep. If I didn't take that medicine, I would not sleep. So I'm trying to wean myself off of that. But for all of those years, from 18 to me being 38, so for 20 years, I've been struggling with this. So this is something that I know God is going to break off of me. But I'm also not going to just quit cold turkey and just stop, because I know he doesn't want me to suffer like that. And it's not good for my brain. I have to do it little by little. But this is just showing you that after the traumatic event in my life, at 17, at 18 is when I started having the problems with sleeping. And what happened after that was I started nursing school and I graduated in 2007. And then I moved in 2007 from Tampa, Florida to Arizona. And I took a job in Arizona. And the reason why I moved here was for another man. I had known this man since I was 4 years old. In New York, we were next door neighbors. We kind of parted ways, and what happened was MySpace brought us together. Oh wow, hey, it's you. It's been forever. Yeah, hey, how's it going? How's Arizona? Oh, it's great. You should come visit. So I did. I came and I visited, and we quote unquote fell in love, or at least I thought so. And as soon as I moved over from Florida to Arizona, he broke up with me. And let me tell you, that was really painful for me because, like I said, I used to always break up with everyone. And he was the first one that broke up with me. And he just shattered my heart into a million pieces, because to me, he was like family also, because I knew him for so long. And he knew my mom and my brother. So that really, really hurt. I became bitter, and I would do the same thing. Okay, you're going to hurt me. Let me start running to other guys. And I did not heal. I didn't. So I just want to share Galatians 5:22-23, because this verse speaks about what it is to operate in the spirit. And it shows how I was operating in the flesh because I had the opposite of this. So Galatians 5:22-23 says, "But the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." So I was walking in the opposite spectrum completely. I was impulsive. I had no self-control. And then after the painful breakup, from me moving to Arizona, I got a message on social media from a man who really caught my attention. I mean, he just said, "You took my breath away." And I wasn't ready for a relationship. I was not. But that desire to want to, need somebody else, which was something that wasn't broken off from my life, I, met him, and I was happy that he was a Christian man. I thought he was handsome, and we started seeing each other. He literally was my everything, and he still is. We married on March 30th. 2008. Actually, let me correct that. It's March 31st, 2008. And, he was the greatest man I'd ever met. I never loved anyone more than him, never. And I never hurt anyone more than him. So we had a beautiful daughter in 2010. Her name is Grace, and she's 11 now. But, I had so much emotional baggage, and I was such a broken woman, and I thought that getting married would fix me. I truly believed that getting married would fix me. But I quickly found out that I put way too many expectations on him, on my husband, to fill those holes. So I pushed him away when I didn't get the exact love that I needed. I expected him to be perfect. I really did. I expected him to be perfect. A deep wedge developed between us, very deep wedge. We slowly stopped making our marriage a priority. And to be honest, I never put God first in my life. I think he can say the same thing. He definitely was not number one. We weren't seeking him with all of our hearts. We just weren't. And it was just very hard. And, Matthew 7:24-27 talks about building your house on the rock, which is God. And a house not firmly built on a solid foundation, it can't stand. It just really cannot stand. So as the years went by, I became more and more unhappy, more depressed. And it wasn't because of him. It was because I was not being the wife I was supposed to be, and I knew it. And I had hurt him so much that I just kept doing it. I just kept hurting because I already figured, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough mother. He doesn't really love me. I was convinced that he didn't love me. He loved me, but I was convinced that he didn't. And that made me react in very, very horrible ways. And it was a recipe for disaster, especially when I started using medicinal marijuana. With the medications that I'm on, and medicinal marijuana messes with your brain, period. Whether it's, legal and natural, it's not. I cheated on him I would say 4 times in 4 instances, yes. And he asked for a divorce. I hit rock bottom. I tried to commit suicide by staying in the car in the garage with the car on. And something got me out of that car that day. I reached out to Marianne, and it was at my Celebrate Recovery. She introduced me to Celebrate Recovery, and let me tell you, I began fellowship. I repented. I changed my life completely, but God changed my heart. God changed my heart, and he gave me a desire and a love for my husband that I never thought I would have. I never thought I would have it. He gave it to me. Unfortunately, my husband is choosing not to forgive me. And understandably, I understand. I did a very, very painful thing. But every day, I pray, I lean on God. I say declarations and affirmations daily. I put on the full armor of God. I do spiritual warfare. I do fasting. I pray. I'm in the word. I read the word out loud. I listen to the word. I do mentorships with my great spiritual mentor. I do counseling. I get fellowship and Celebrate Recovery. I mentor and counsel other women. And it's just amazing. My marriage is not restored. It's not. And it's been 2.5 years since I committed the hurt. But God, I lost my home. I live with my mother. I can't see my dog because he lives over there. My daughter lost the stability of the family. I saw her pain. I felt the regret. I put myself through self-sabotage. I gained 65, almost 70 pounds in 2.5 years because I would just eat my emotions. But my heart and my mind is set free because I had to lose it all to finally gain what I needed, which was that relationship with Jesus. And he loves you so much. He loves me so much. And it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work for me to finally realize, okay, Lord, take your healing balm of Gilead and just cleanse out my wounds. And he did. He did. And the joy of the Lord is my strength now. I don't have depression. I get sad because I miss my husband, but I'm not manipulative. I'm not angry. I'm not wanting another man at all. It's the furthest thing from my heart. I don't want it. I want my marriage, but I have to accept that God's will be done regardless how it looks, even though I know how important it is for a marriage to stay together. And I want that more than anything. So my daughter doesn't have to experience the pain that I experienced. So I had to forgive myself. I had to cling to God. He's my anchor, and he will be your anchor. And even though I lost so much, the joy of the Lord again is my strength. Every day I surrender. Every day I surrender to God. I say, Lord, I cannot fight these battles. I give them to you. I surrender to you. And he takes it. And I don't feel the heaviness of it anymore. And I just put one foot in front of the other. And I live one day at a time. And I don't have anxiety because I live for right now. I don't think about the future. The future is in the hands of Almighty God. He has plans to prosper us, not to harm us, to give us hope and a future. He's the author and perfecter of our faith. He knows us better than we know ourselves. So let go. And I just wanted to share my story with you guys. And I thank you so much for listening. And I hope you're all blessed, and just tune in. I'll keep posting more videos about certain topics for encouragement. And just thanks for watching. Bye, guys.